What's up agents, Patrick Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 build video. This one has been very much requested in my comments and in my streams, so I'm glad to present to you guys my best DPS build for TU11. There's a few things to consider, and remember all my builds are templates for you guys to adjust to suit your own playstyles. Let's get straight into this. So the specialization that I normally use is Technician. Now there are other ones that give you handling, more damage from closer range, possibly more headshot damage for if you want to use a rifle or marksman rifle. It's completely up to you. They're all pretty much viable, guys. Just remember that hole in the head, the headshot damage only applies to rifles and marksman rifles. For sharpshooter, survivalist is good if you want to be healing your teammates. There's a lot of other utility in there as well. Just have a look, read all of the talents. But Technician is the one that I go for. The main reason being is because an extra skill tier is really strong. And also 12% damage to drones, skill proxies, and robotics. So with regards to drones and dogs with the snipers on their backs, mini tanks, all of those things, it's quite important to note that the mini tanks, they are health. And then the dogs, the big robotic dogs, have got armor and health. So in this build, I've mainly focused on damage to health. Now, obviously, I haven't used the named mask, which gives you damage to health, but I've considered it. That's why assault rifles are so good, especially for taking these guys out, because they can cause you a lot of grief because they are very aggressive and they push you, especially the ones who shoot grenades. So it's very important. This is very nice, 12% damage to drones. I really do enjoy this. I think a lot of people don't realize how powerful just this is alone. Extra 12% really does help. Assault rifle damage, you can use whatever secondary weapon you can. Everything else is not really that important. You can use the artificial hive like I did in my lone wolf build. If you guys want to see that, it's up in the description. Now this is really good for keeping your shield alive, but because we're going to do this is an all red build, so I wouldn't really focus too much on the strength of your shield. With red builds, I do believe that depending on what kind of content you're going to go into is depending on what kind of pieces you're going to use. If I'm going to go into a legendary mission where there are a lot of sniper dogs, heavies with lots of armor, I would put contractor's gloves on. That gives me slightly more armor damage, but with the Fenris, it not only boosts my base damage, because 40% of your magazine is not critting. So high critical hit damage it looks good on paper, but in practice, it isn't the strongest thing in the world. So if I go up against, for example, a mini tank, they are all health. I don't know if you guys knew that. Fenris gloves are better than contractor's gloves because when you are firing at it, it's all health damage. And the Fenris base is increased, which scales onto health damage, whereas the contractor's gloves is just LMG damage, which is a waste, and that is damage to armor. They don't have armor. A lot of NPCs, I don't know if you guys notice, have green bars on top of their armor. That means they've got 2 sets of health. So actually, some NPCs have more health than armor. So it's important to keep in mind what kind of content you're going to be doing. Now, with regards to what I said earlier, 60% crit chance. The 40% that you're not critting. In PvP, Providence Defense is not that great unless you want to just get your crit damage up and focus on your crits. Walker and Harris 1-piece is very underutilized, even the 2-piece with armor damage, because in PvP, I believe armor damage is more important than in PvE. PvE, it's all about health damage. Now, clearly, I haven't put the named mask on, which is in my stash. Now, to be honest, you can. The Hollow Man mask is really good. I don't have a good one that is all red. It's right over here. You do get 10% health damage. But the fact that the assault rifle itself comes with 21% health damage is more than enough for me. And remember, like I said, Fenris gloves. If you want to compare them to contractors, contractors will give me more damage to armor. But overall, in the long run, my non-crits will be higher. My damage will be higher. And my damage to health, which is a lot of times, most NPCs have a lot of health, like I said before, and the weak points, it's going to be higher, so it is more efficient for me to run Fenris gloves. Hopefully you guys understand that. Now, critical hit damage is very strong. I love it. It's obviously incredibly good because most of your bullets are going to be critting, but it's only 60%, so you need to try and gauge how much you want. Now, it's completely up to you. If you're making like a DPS build with a Lady Death SMG that has damage to armor, you'd probably be better off running contractor's gloves and 2 Walker and Harris, which would be great, but that's a build for another day. So let's go through this as well. Now, another thing to quickly note, very important, do not use the memento bag. The memento bag is for hybrid builds, armor regen, and not even skill builds. I would say that this is great for hybrids, one of the best backpacks in the game, but for damage, you will get less damage from this than you would with Vigilance backpack, because Vigilance has crit damage, has crit chance on it rolled as well, and you already have 25% damage, whereas the Memento only gives you 30. Yes, there's other utilities, but you want to focus on damage. That's the whole point of this build. Do not use the Memento. It is less damage than using Vigilance Backpack. So I don't know why I see people running that. It's a waste, unless, like I said before, you want to kind of make a DPS hybrid. Maybe you have a little bit of armor regen, and then you have some skill efficiency. It's completely up to you, but if you want just raw damage, the Vigilance Bag is better. Right, so let's go through the pieces. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. It is quite situational what kind of damage you want to put on, because a lot of people I see running Walker Harris, things like that, that's perfectly fine. But this setup I think a lot of people will be happy with, especially because Obliterate gives us, it's been changed, it gives us 25% damage without sacrificing our survivability from Glass Cannon, because Glass Cannon is still the best damage in the game, but it's because it is multiplicative. But honestly, you take 50-60% damage dependent on the perfect variant, and it's just not really worth it. So we have got all reds, obviously. I use the G36, reason being, up close it's better than the FAL in my opinion. You can use whatever gun you want. I rate a lot of them. From us with Optimist is great, FAL is amazing, Invisible Hand is very good. It's completely up to you what weapon or assault rifle you use, but like I said before, I would recommend using an AR. This is one of my favorite guns in the game, the Virginian with perfect boomerang. Very, very nice. I can hit about 5 million damage on this build, 6 million if I have perfect boomerang procced. It's very, very good. Huge amounts of damage, and you know what, the best thing about it is when you pull out your shield, you can use it with a shield and one-shot legendary NPCs, which is very nice. So it's completely up to you guys. When modding these weapons, I don't need to go over it too much, but you guys need to just make sure you get your crit chance to 60. Don't overdo it. And it's important to note, when using the firewall specialization, you get this beautiful 10% crit damage underbarrel. So make sure to try and put that on if you have the chance. So pistol, Liberty, you can use whatever you guys want. Then we're going to go through each individual piece. It's nothing too crazy. It's pretty much run-of-the-mill, but a lot of people wanted to see how I've done my setup. I have changed this build so many times, and this, in my opinion, is the best. Sometimes if you swap pieces, if you go for full damage, you can do 1 million damage to armor and 800k to health. If you swap your pieces around, you do 1 million damage to health, 800k to armor. Like I said before, I don't need to I don't want to go through that again, but it's completely up to you what kind of damage you want to be doing. Okay, so we've got Providence. I've rolled crit damage and crit chance on everything. Every single mod is going to be crit damage. Try farm for 11.8 mods or 12%. I've only got 12%, unfortunately. Then the chest piece is going to be Providence again. Crit damage mod there, nice crit damage, headshot damage. Now headshot damage if you're on PC is very, very good because of the way it multiplies. I recommend it a lot because it is pretty easy to hit headshots on PC in PVE. Obliterate, make sure you guys use this. You need to have your crit chance at 60%. 50% is not good enough, especially with this talent. In one magazine I can get my Obliterate up, maybe 1.5 dependent on what gun you're using. It's very good. My favorite chest piece talent in the game right now. Holster, Grupo, you can use a one-piece Walker and Harris if you want. Like I said earlier, if you want to maybe convert this into slightly a PvP build, maybe 2 Walker and Harris instead of Providence. Just make sure your crit chance, because crit chance is very nice to have off the bat, especially a Cheska. Now a Cheska piece would allow you to obtain your crit chance better, but like I said before, it is kind of a waste, especially if you want crit damage. Then we've got Fox's Prayer and Fenris. It's very efficient. But if you have a lot of crit and your watch level is 1000 like mine is, then you could potentially change it up. It's completely up to you guys. So roll crit damage, crit chance. Then we got Providence bag. Vigilance is still best in slot. I cannot find a good Vigilance bag. I've tried my best. I've got God roll everything else with the different talents. Concussion's very good, but for PvE, still Vigilance is just king. So make sure you guys utilize this. Then the gloves, Fenris gloves. I explained the differences. Don't use contractors unless you just want to do damage to armor. Then we've got it right here. Have a look. Knee pads, best in slot always. It's quite frustrating that they need to be reworked, because in every DPS build you pretty much have to have this. It's just damage to targets out of cover is very, very strong, and I do recommend it, especially on your AR. Don't forget to roll it as your attribute. Okay, Hive, I've got the Reviver Hive. Then for the shield, it's important to note that if you want a backup shield, you can utilize the big one, the big bulwark, and use a pistol. It's completely up to you, but to proc in sync, you just need it. The damage from in sync is just unmatched. You pull out your shield for 5 seconds, burst them down. If you want to just keep your, not use a shield, don't use in sync on the gun. Use Optimist, that would be really good. And then maybe a decoy. Decoys are very, very strong in this game right now. It takes the aggro completely away from you. Even drones, because drones and turrets actually do damage to armor, if you guys did not know that. Okay, so the stats, let's go through the stats. Now, Like I said before, this is an illusion. If you have over 200% crit damage, that does not mean you're hitting harder than me. Now, that is a situational statement to make, but I'm sure you guys, if you go in the testing range and in practice when you do legendary missions or things like that, you will figure out what I'm saying. So, almost, it's actually quite frustrating. 100% headshot damage, 167 critical damage. Nothing crazy, but it really works well. I hit for 1,000,000 damage to NPCs in the head, so I'm happy with this build. It melts. So I'm going to go scroll through this. You guys can pause the video whenever you want, and yeah. So that's it. That's going to be it for this build. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I will try my best to answer them. Like always, leave a like, subscribe, and make sure to come support me on my second channel, Cyberwolf, which is in the link. Well, there's a link in the description. I'm going to be covering Cyberpunk 2077 when it releases on the 19th of November. So see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.